Hi everyone, welcome to a Monday market update. Sorry it's a bit late in the day to get this out, but there was a lot of things happening in the market, so I thought I'd wait and see what was going on to give you a bit more information about what I'm seeing. So let's crack straight in. I'm going to start with Big Daddy Bitcoin. Now, some things are happening in the banking sector and markets, and as we've just seen over these last few weeks, it might be a bit confusing for everyone as we've been closely following stocks over the last year or so. But right now, my base theory, my view is that Bitcoin is now following store of value, flight to safety, that type of thinking in terms of the trading sphere. So we're seeing gold really ramp, and we saw just down the right hand side, gold tick over 2,000 US dollars for the first time. In a very, very long time. I don't think it's ever. I think we have been above it briefly previously, but it reached the highest dollar value in terms of AUD, got above 3,000 AUD. So that is a really strong sign for me, and exactly what I was thinking at the start of the year before we had this mega rally from 17,000. I started to see gold moving. That for me was smart money is really feeling out gold as they sense that we're heading into harder economic times, and it's still a great bellwether to understand about where the economy is sitting. So gold, really having a strong moment here. Bitcoin, of course, having a strong moment. It is the fastest horse. If it is that gold 2.0, it's just going to run on similar narratives when it wants to. We hear that Bitcoin, often is correlated, decouples. Ultimately, though, it does what it wants when it wants. And there might be times when it's tightly correlated to the S&P 500. Other times it might be tightly correlated to gold. Bitcoin will do what Bitcoin does. Different things drive it. You've got the Bitcoin halving as well that normally has a bull cycle after that as well, which gold doesn't have, for example. So different dynamics and whatnot. All right, just broadly, we're looking at Bitcoin here, just struggling a little bit under 28,000. But what I'm noticing is it's just not breaking down. The bears are not sticking in the knife. Now, I'll probably, eat my words here. Once this video comes out, we'll probably get a flush to the downside. But the RSI is essentially just cooled all the way back off to the mean. And we've got the momentum cooling off as well, which I don't really like seeing. Got the stock RSI crossing over, don't like seeing that either. This is on the 4 hour. You can go to different time frames, but I wanted to keep it here because I want to show you a fractal in a second. But just broadly, everyone in their dog is expecting Bitcoin to pull back to the 200-week moving average at 25,500, give or take. Is it going to give us that? I don't think so. That's just my feel. Just since what we've seen at the beginning of the year, same with 2019, same as 2020. It just never gives bulls that are late to the party a good entry. It just keeps moving higher. And we're also understanding that the Bitcoin market is now moving more liquid. So, the volatility can get quite extreme. Doesn't mean we can't have a flush to the downside. Absolutely can. But it also means that we could have larger moves to the upside, reactionary moves. So just keep that in mind. Also saw that funding rates are neutral. So that's another thing. There's no real massive leverage squeeze that looks to be on the offering here. So yeah, it's a really hard one to call, and I'm not going to give an absolute answer either. Call it either way. My gut feel is this is a compression before we see a bit more upside. That's just my feeling, but would not be surprised in the slightest to see us pull back to 26,000. That all said, I want to bring us to this sort of structure that we're building here. Sideways looks a bit nasty. You'd think it would, pretty heavily fall back down. You've got a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here, which didn't actually eventuate, spiked up to 29,000 on Bitstamp. Don't think it did on Binance. We're sort of grinding sideways along this support without really breaking down or moving higher. What does this look like? Well, I thought I'd look back in time and just see where we were in similar instances, before major moves higher. We go back here, 2020. So out of COVID, we just blasted up from, 3,000 all the way to, 18, 17,000, just kept moving higher, not giving bulls an entry. And look at this structure of this market here. Does that look pretty similar to where we are right now? Sometimes history can, rhyme, not be exactly the same, but very, very similar. So we've got this inverse head, sideways movement, just grinding sideways, and then a little bit of a pullback, but not as far as you'd want it to, not back to 16,000, not back to 15,000 again, where everyone's missing out down here. It just has a little bit of a cool off, hit on the moving average, and then it blasts off. Are we about to see the same things we saw in 2020 and also 2019? It has those strange pockets of consolidation. And if I just go out to, let's say, the daily, if the bears cannot stick in the knife, I'll go to the daily on this one as well. The bears cannot stick in the knife, then Bitcoin's going higher. That's how this market's going to roll, because the consensus is really wanting you know, more downside. But then you have to balance that with a lot of people calling for 30,000 plus. But, you know, are they in the minority? Are they the majority? I'm not sure. But if we just look on the left-hand side, I'll get rid of this double pane. It's a strange old shape that's trying to develop here. It kind of looks like a diamond, kind of looks like a few things, but regardless, we've seen this sort of pattern develop previously where it just doesn't give anyone a chance. Look over here on a smaller scale, then blast up over here. I think we're going higher. That's just my feel. Again, not sure. Yeah, I think the market's trying to react to the downside quite negatively, and it's just not happening. I'm not sure if I covered this too because I've been talking for a little bit here, but the dollar was really driving a bit more downside in my eyes because it's having a bit of a rally here. I'm also seeing US Treasury yields going higher, so it's very clear that sovereign nations are selling off US Treasuries at a bit harder clip now to get their hands on US dollars. So that's moving higher. Will put pressure on things like crypto and stocks and whatnot. So no doubt we are seeing a little bit of that stress at the moment, but again, holding up remarkably well. What's also holding up remarkably well is Bitcoin AUD. Just looks even better than the USD. And, you know, looking at that, I'd say that's moving higher quite clearly. But then again, you know, AUD is a weaker currency than USD. So it may be a little bit easier to see where it's going to be going. Is this going to translate into higher prices for USD? I'm not sure. But so far, you haven't been able to enter on the areas that you really think you might. So 40,000 seems like a potential at the moment, but doesn't look like it might hit it. If it rolls over on the USD, then it will. But if not, it's just going higher again. All right. Now, a crypto that you really want to be looking at right now, in our opinion, this is a bit of a nugget from our mastermind group, is Litecoin. It has the halving at the back end of the year in August. Make sure you're paying attention to this one. It has shown insane relative strength, especially throughout the start of this year and also in this recent period here. It's just clawed its way back above a crucial horizontal resistance at 90. It hasn't lost 90. It's going sideways. It's just grinding really nicely. It was in a bit of a flag this morning. I was quite happy with that. And now it's just come back in quickly. If this can close above it, I'm going to be very interested in that higher move from Litecoin here, but very interesting. It doesn't matter if it comes down a bit lower, 87 and whatnot. There are good buy zones lower to get into this. But right now, if you're not looking at Litecoin, you're a little bit silly for that upside because it got that halving narrative. You know, it's got the proof of work narrative as well. It's probably not a security. It's got limited supply, and it generally, I'm sorry, generally, it has always run in the year prior to the Bitcoin halving because it has that similar dynamic. So a lot of traders are in on it at the moment, a lot of investors are in it on the moment, and it acts like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So all markets are psychology based. You're looking at these candlesticks, it's all two parties just disagreeing or agreeing on prices, and a bunch of traders, investors like you and me right now looking at charts, looking at levels, and it works almost like that self-fulfilling prophecy. So lean into that, use it as a narrative. It's something we're really big on in the mastermind group in terms of trading and you know, really maximizing your shorter term portfolio. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you're watching these videos and you're not if you haven't started the course with us or you're thinking about it, just reach out to the team, ask some questions. It is a phenomenal educational experience that you will go on and you will learn all the foundational pillars to get into this market safely and securely, manage your risk. I think that's the biggest one that we can really push right now, is managing your risk on the downside if you're, you know, dabbling in this space, either trading or investing. Apart from that, guys, have a wonderful day. We'll catch you again for the Altcoin Bible. Bye.